Today we've got a ton of news coming out of Subaru and the New York Auto Show. Subaru has dropped 4 big new models. Well, 3 that are all new and 1 that is heavily revised and facelifted. That is the new 2026 Outback, the new 2026 Outback Wilderness, the all-new Trailseeker EV SUV, and the heavily refined, revised, and facelifted Solterra. With that said, go ahead and buckle up, strap in for this episode of Subaru News. So starting off, we'll talk about the vehicle I am most excited about, and that is the all-new 2026 Outback, the 7th generation of the Subaru Outback. We made a video not too long ago about this, looking at the camouflage spy shots of the new Outback and trying to guess what it may or may not look like once it's to a production level, once the cladding camo is off, and it pretty much is exactly what we thought it was going to be. It is a bigger, taller, more boxy SUV and no longer the crossover station wagon that has been basically its entire lifespan up until now. Now, that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a different thing. I appreciate the prior Outbacks. It has been a phenomenal car, station wagon, small SUV, but Subaru has realized that with everything and everybody, people are wanting more size, more room, more cargo space, and have finally shifted into that true boxy, rugged, squared off SUV body style, body shape, and size. Now, some people are going to hate it. Some people are going to love it. I'm kind of indifferent to it. I do appreciate the last generation of Outback and basically every generation of Outback except for 05 to 09. Never been a fan of those, but I appreciate Outback for Outback. And this one looks like it is quite interesting and intriguing to me. Now, from side profile, like I said, it's much taller and boxier looking. It looks more like a Toyota 4Runner or something in that category. As we can see from the pictures on the screen, we have a larger grille, more aggressive front end. We've got a bigger back end. The Subaru badging is bigger and bolder. We've got the bigger body cladding on it. It's just all around a bigger, more I wouldn't say menacing, but it has more of a presence than the predecessor, that's for sure. So one thing about it, looking at the exterior that I do not like, and we touched on this in the last video, was the split level headlights. I've never been a fan of that design hue on vehicles. I don't know why people continue to do it. It just looks dumb in my opinion. They should have a single composite headlight. I think it would look much better on this. It's not terrible in the way they put it into this car, but I'm never going to be a fan of it, never going to like really want that on a car, but I have seen far worse, and we talked on that in the video before, talking about those split level, split beam headlights. So as a synopsis of this 26 Outback, we have bigger, bolder, more squared off SUV styling and room. As far as the powertrain is concerned, we have new hybrid options finally for the Outback. Now, this is still up in the air. We know it will be a combination of a Subaru Boxer engine and Toyota hybrid drive. So no MPG, EPA kind of numbers out yet, but we'd assume mid-30s, 35 MPGs or so. Finally, some better gas mileage and economy out of the Outback. We also have the carryover of the 2.5 180 horsepower current engine and the 260 horsepower 2.4 turbo XT engine. So familiar powertrains coming over with the addition of a new hybrid driveline. Now, aside from the exterior and powertrain, we have big upgrades coming to the interior. Now, looking at the interior, this is where the big change comes and a lot of things that I am very happy to see, and I'm sure a lot of you are happy to see as well. The giant, massive infotainment screen is gone, thank the Lord. We have physical buttons. If you can see, we've got our infotainment at the top in a decent sized screen for navigation and things of that nature, but we have physical climate control with knobs and buttons down below it. Now, we fixed that, but we created another issue in my mind, which is looking at the cluster. We no longer have an analog cluster. We now have another screen. I am not a fan personally of this kind of setup, but it is like the new hot thing that everyone's doing. They want a screen instead of a traditional cluster. I prefer an analog cluster. I did not particularly have any hatred towards the prior with the mix of digital assets and analog. I like my analog gauges for speedometer, tachometer, temperature, and fuel level. But having the digital speedometer in the middle, the digital display, you know, showing tire pressure, prudent information, I did like that combination. But having it as a total screen, I don't care for. I foresee blackout issues in the future and some TSBs or recalls on this digitized cluster. Not saying it's going to be an issue, but it's a potential issue that if you have fault, then, you know, it's going to make it very hard to get around. And I know this fault could happen with an older analog or a digitized analog. It doesn't matter, but I just prefer the look of physical needles on a face. That's just me. I guess I'm old school in that regard. But I can say the interior looks so much better in this Outback, and it doesn't look Subaru really at all. It looks like something out of, I don't know. Tell me in the comments, guys, what do you think? It does look a little Toyota-ish. It does look a little more higher in BMW, Mercedes-esque. Not currently, like, you know, a couple of generations ago, but it is far more upscale than Subaru has ever had for an interior, especially in the dashboard, console, cluster, all of that area where, you know, you're seated where, you know, you're going to interact with the car. It is better laid out, I think, in my opinion, than the prior generation, the 20 to 25 model, because I recently drove that 21 and I just could not stand that giant screen with the integration of the HVAC and everything in it. It's just too much. It's too much of a distraction, too much taking your eyes off. Having a physical knob at the bottom there for climate control and those physical tactile buttons, I just like it a lot better, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well. At least in prior videos, I've heard so in the comment section. Let me know what you think down below. So we talked extensively about the new 2026 Outback, but we have the Wilderness version to talk about as well. Now, there are upgrades above the Outback and the other Wilderness prior to this one. Now, first off, we've got the bigger body. We've got the massive size of the new Outback compared to the old Outback. It's more SUV, less station wagon. But aside from that, we have upgrades to the Wilderness trim in this new Wilderness. So first off is ground clearance. We have 9.8 inches of ground clearance, up from 8.7 inches of ground clearance. We also have bigger, chunkier off-road tires. We have a refined X mode and tighter final drive for better crawling ability. All in all, the Outback Wilderness is much improved over the prior generation and more suited for the Wilderness name, off-road capability, and getting out there where the pavement ends. Now, there is a lot of differences to the exterior and interior between the Wilderness and their traditional trim, much like the prior Outback and its accompanying Wilderness model. So we've got a big, beefy grille in the front with Subaru cast in it. We've got different taillights, more brighter LED reverse lights, fog lights, more off-road oriented for lighting up the trail, lighting up the wilderness when you're out there. We also have the same carryover of design elements from the Wilderness first generations with the kind of copperish, goldish accents for the tow hooks around the exterior trim, roof rack, etc. Carry that over into the interior as well in the same kind of accents they had before. Interior is kind of a carryover mishmash from the prior Wilderness models and the new Outback. We have the new layout, new dash, new infotainment, all of that stuff from the new Outback, but we have the same carryover of the Wilderness branding on the interior, on the seats, and just that little bit more than a regular Outback, a premium limited XT Touring, etc. So as far as pricing and specifications, other than on this new Wilderness, we don't have anything yet, but expect it to be about $3 to $4 grand more than the newest top tier model, because Wilderness is the top tier as far as pricing goes with the Outbacks. Moving on, we have our third all-new vehicle announcement, and that is the brand new Trailseeker EV SUV. Now, most of you know I'm not an EV fan and probably never going to be, but this is a much more Subaru EV than the Solterra. Most of us know by now that the Solterra was just badge engineered for Subaru so they could have an EV vehicle. It is a Toyota BZ4X with Subaru badges. Any of you that have ever sat in or been around one of those vehicles knows that it has a high floor and a low roof. It is kind of cramped. It is tight. It doesn't have a lot of cargo space. It doesn't have a lot of people space. The Trailseeker is more of an EV Outback. It has more room inside for cargo and people. It has a taller roof. It has a lower floor. It is better as far as something that's going to be off-roadable as an EV, having a lot better ground clearance and being more wilderness-esque or Outback-esque than the Solterra was. The Solterra was more of a kitted up all-wheel drive commuter car for the city that Subaru kind of tried to market as an all-wheel drive adventure off-roader when it really, really was not. So this new Trailseeker EV SUV has more power, more range, and has fast charging that is Tesla compliant with a Tesla NACS port. You can get 10 to 80% charge in only about 30 to 35 minutes on a 150 kilowatt fast charge. So as far as specifications on the Trailseeker, we have a dual motor, 375 horsepower equivalents, 8.3 inches of ground clearance, a 0 to 60 time in about 4.4 seconds, and has a range of 260 plus miles, which is up from the Solterra. Infotainment comes to you in a 14-inch touchscreen, and it has a towing capacity of 3,500 pounds. The Trailseeker even borrows some wilderness-like elements with different off-road modes, similar to X mode, snow, sand, etc. They have these built in for the motors to get the best grip and best traction to get you out of those tricky situations when off-road or where the pavement ends. You can expect to see the new Trailseeker coming into dealerships later this year. Now, last but not least, the one I'm least excited about myself, but some of you might be, is the mid-year refresh facelifted Solterra. Now, Solterra released two very mild reviews, bland reviews, and a lot of thumbs down. I was one that just really was like, why does this exist right now? They fixed a lot of the complaints and issues with Solterra with this new revision. The Solterra had really low power, really cramped, uncomfortable as far as cargo and people room. It had a very poor range, poor acceleration, and just wasn't a great EV. And it wasn't a great Subaru either because, as I mentioned before, it was basically the Toyota BZ4X with a Subaru badge on it. They weren't very indistinguishable from each other than Toyota or Subaru badge stuck on the front and in the center of the steering wheel. Pretty much the same car. Subaru kind of dropped the ball. Probably Toyota forced them to take the car, or maybe they just needed to add an EV quickly to the lineup. But whatever it is, it just did not do very well for them. Well, there is hope with this new revision. They fixed most of the issues. They now have a completely different front fascia where the Solterra is more of its own vehicle. They have changed out the slow charging and poor battery range by using the new Trailseeker EV's battery in the facelifted Solterra. So now you have over 260 mile range. You have the same Tesla supported fast charging as the Trailseeker. So that one big issue a lot of people had has been revised. Also, the poor power, the 215 horsepower was not great in that car. It's now been bumped up to 335 horsepower. Acceleration is now 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds. Much, much improved. We've got a better battery. We've got more power. We've got better acceleration and faster charging. They have fixed a lot of the issues. Again, 14-inch infotainment. I believe it's the same one carrying over from the Trailseeker. We don't have any information yet as far as release time or pricing, but shouldn't expect much of a premium over the current Solterra. Luckily, Subaru is finally listening to consumers, and they changed a lot of issues that we had with Solterra. They changed a lot of issues we had with the prior Outback. It's good to see that Subaru is remembering where they came from and who got them where they are, and are listening to customer feedback and adapting once again. So guys, there you have it. The 4 new models released by Subaru at the New York Auto Show. A quick final synopsis of what's right for you. Well, if you're looking for hybrid technology, if you're looking for that better fuel economy and a bigger, beefier SUV, the 2026 Outback is definitely for you. If you find yourself off-roading on the trails, you know you're going to want to get that new Wilderness model. If you want 3,500 pounds of towing capacity in silence in an EV that has more space and more off-road ability, then the new Trailseeker EV is for you. And if you need a city commuter EV and you just hated the prior Solterra, well, the revised Solterra has your name written on it. Guys, let me know your thoughts and feelings down in the comment section below. What do you like? What do you hate? What do you love about these 4 new Subaru models? Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? Have they made betterments from the prior generations, or are Subaru still moving in the wrong direction? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for future Subaru and tool content. I'll see you guys in the next one.